It's Laura here. I'm here to start a new reading vlog. I will admit, this first week of the year has not been my best reading year. Reading week, I mean. I did get read a couple of things, but honestly, with everything happening in the world, it's been a little bit chaotic. It was also my first week back at school. This is also Saturday that I'm starting to film this reading vlog, but I did want to do a reading vlog this week. I really want to focus on reading this weekend. I keep on adding things to my YouTube queue to watch, and then I just like lose track of them, and it's like a lot of videos. But again, I really do want to catch up. So I have like 107 videos to watch. I know some of them I've probably watched already, but that's kind of where we're at. Um, Entertainment wise, I'm still watching that. I've honestly have been more watching news than entertainment stuff. Just I feel like once the 20th hit, things will get a little bit easier, but I just really want to stay informed and know what's happening, and it's been hard. But I'm forcing myself to not watch CNN this weekend. I'm forcing myself to do that. So I figure I can escape into some fantasy world. So the audiobook I'm listening to is, because the physical book has to go back today, that's the second Bridgerton book, The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is Anthony's book. I'm really liking that. I hope I like the audiobook as well. And then I'm going to pick up two fantasy reads that I actually got as arcs to read. The first one is Lore from Alexandra Bracken. I started this book into 2020 and then I put it down because I was really distracted. It was during Christmas break and I wanted to read some fast reads, but this is a Greek mythology themed novel and I think it's a standalone. And I really liked it. It's set in New York City. I'm super excited to dive back and actually reread the first 100 pages. So this will be the first one that I'm going to read. I'm actually going to pick this up before I go to yoga. And then the second book I got was from Entangled Teen, and that is Crown of Bones by A.K. Wilder. And I'm just going to read you the back because it's like a shorter summary. In a world on the brink of the next dying, no amount of training can prepare you for what's to come. A young Arab will raise the most powerful phantom in all of Bashtine. A dangerous high servant will do anything to control the nine realms. A mysterious and deadly Mar race will steal children into the sea. And a handsome guide with far too many secrets will make me fall in love. My name is Ash, a lowly scribe meant to observe and record, and yet I think I'm destined to save us all. So I'm really excited for these two books. My dad said that we got Girl Scout cookies that we ordered. They came super fast, which I was sort of surprised about. But, so yeah, that's my goal. I'm going to focus on Lore and Crown of Bones. I did like do all my like errands. I set up all my blog posts. I actually got a Nook. So I set that stuff up. I still have to do a couple of filming, but I think I'm gonna do it next week when I'm off because I have off for one of the days next week. I have off on Monday. But yes, I'm going to force myself to kind of step back from news this weekend. It's hard sometimes, I think, for me because I really like to be informed. Also, I did get, this is a fun story. I got a book called Eclipse. Turns out it's better by Dominic Holland. This is Tom Holland's dad, and it's just like an autobiography of Tom Holland written by his dad. So I might read this a little bit as well. If I need like a little bit of a mental break. But so these are kind of, if I could have a goal and have an amazing reading week, I would read all these. So that's kind of my plan. I have to go do my Skillshare class. That's my first plan of attack. Then I'm going to head to yoga when I'm listening to my audiobook. And when I come back, I'll check in with you guys. So talk to you guys in a little bit. I'm back I went to the gym. Well, I didn't go to the gym. I went to yoga. I ran to town. I went to the library. I've returned some library books. I got some new ones for the next couple of weeks. I am trying to stock up on library books if I fear that the library will shut again. It hasn't. We've been okay, but I don't know what the status of them staying open is. So I got a couple of my Regency romances, and I might pop up in there like later next week if I feel like we're really going to close. But I did wind up making a little bit of listening progress to The Viscount Who Loves Me by Julia Quinn, which is the audiobook I'm in the middle of listening to because I had returned my physical book. I literally read 2 pages in Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I went to yoga and I bought some stuff. They were having a big sale on all of their like clothes, so I bought a couple of things to practice yoga in again. I'm just trying to have stuff available to me in case we are home for a while. That is just sort of my life plan in general. Always have stuff available. I still do have to finish my Christmas crafts, but this week was not a good reading week for me. I have to watch a bunch of YouTube videos. I also have to get some lunch. So I am probably gonna go upstairs and see how lunch is coming, and then I'll probably start reading. I also would love to like tackle a majority of this book today. I read about the first 150 pages, and now that I'm like rereading it, everything clicks a little bit more. I did go to an Alexandra Bracken event on Tuesday where she sort of fleshed out the world. I thought that was super cool. So I'm really excited to dive in. I love Alexandra Bracken's writing. She's definitely an auto by author for me. And actually, her graphic novel of Brightly Woven is coming out in a couple of weeks. I think it's coming out in February or March. And I actually read that as a novel. I got like it's like out of print now, but I'm really excited to see what she does with the graphic novel because I know she said she changed a few things in it. But I'm really excited to dive into this book as well. I've only read about 2 pages. I read the prologue and I read that's it. So I'm really excited to dive into this and watch some of my goal. Whenever people make goal videos, I always get really excited because it motivates me to make some goals. It also stresses me out a little bit because I'm like, oh my god, are my goals not good enough? But I'm just gonna watch them. I'm gonna put them on in the background. I hope by Monday to be back to like watching actual TV. I just know if I don't get this YouTube queue down, I will be here for like the whole year. So, but I'm gonna get some food, and when I read about 30 to 40 pages of lore, I'll definitely give you guys an update. Talk to you guys in a bit. There, I'm back. I did actually wind up watching a few of my videos for YouTube, which is impressive. I also did wind up rereading about 30 pages of lore. I really am liking this book. Maybe it was because I was so focused on finishing books towards the end of the year. I am a big fan of mythology. I always have been. Percy Jackson is one of my favorite series, that whole world. I really love it. This book is like a little bit different, and I know that like I'm gonna kind of like give an overall summary because I did read about 100 pages. But basically, you follow this girl named Lore, and you meet her, and she's in like a fighting club. It's set in New York City, but you realize that she has a past that she's trying to sort of run away from. When two people from her past reveal themselves, her world changes a little bit. But you basically have her, and the way that this world is set up, there is Greek gods, and every single 7 years, people of the bloodlines can compete to kill the Greek gods, and then they gain those powers. And in the last series of these, her family was brutally murdered. And then two characters come back from the past to sort of find her and say someone's looking for her, which is sort of the bad guy. But then Athena turns up on her doorstep and sort of everything changes again. She also has an awesome best friend named Miles, who I just love. I loved him in the first series of books. And Athena is always a character that is very interesting to read about. So I'm excited to keep reading. I only read about 30 pages. I still have found some quotes that I really like. I know that this will be in one of my book boxes this month, so I'm definitely going to probably keep that edition. But I'm really enjoying it. I really do like Alexandra Bracken's writing style, and I'm hopeful that now that I'm focused, I can really focus on the world building, and it will be clearer than the last time I read it. But I'm gonna go back to reading, watch some more YouTube videos, and I'll update you guys when I get up to page like 50 or 50, probably around page 50. I'll see how I feel, but it might be 50 or 60. It just depends on when the chapter ends. So I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. Back in. It is almost 2:30. I just get up to page 53 in Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This book is sort of like a grown-up version of Percy Jackson, and Lore is a really complicated character. I will say that. But basically, what it is that she's stuck in the middle of the Aegon, which basically people are competing to be gods. She does not want to be in this life anymore because her family was killed during the Aegon. So she's kind of been running away from her past for a couple of years. But when Athena is basically found on her doorstep, and they decide to team up so that Athena will be a little bit healthier, I guess you could say, and also she will do the thing that Lore wants to be done to kill the person that kills her family. But the one thing right now I'm really enjoying is the relationship between her and Miles. Miles is her best friend. And I always look towards books that have platonic relationships between males and females because I always think it's immediately like a boyfriend relationship, and I always really like friendship. So I really like that Miles is sort of like her friend that's just gonna see this world through like eyes like us. And I always like stories that have that, because I always feel like when you go into like a big fantasy world, especially when it's a standalone, you either need to, the character that you're with either needs to not know the world, or you need to have a character's point of view that doesn't know the world so that you get a lot of information. So we're about to kind of dive in and get a little bit more information, I'm sure, as she's explaining this to Miles. And I'm sure that will kind of flesh it out. I remember the last time I really enjoyed this part. So again, I read about 150 pages. So my goal is to today is to at least finish that part, and then I'll probably check back in with you guys. But I really love Laura as a character. She's super damaged. She's dealing with a lot, the death of her parents, the death of her younger sisters, and then also like knowing that her best friend is out there and she has seen her best friend. Um, so yeah, I really like her and Miles' relationship so far. I also like how she's describing New York City in this, which is a city that I love. I work there normally, typically, and I like her take on New York. So I'm gonna go back to reading, and I'll probably update you guys when I read about 50 more pages when I get to page 100, and then we'll have a check in. I'm also really liking my YouTube queue. I'm getting down to quite a few videos, which is nice. So now I have about, it's not going to seem like a lot, but these videos are super long. I have about 105 left. But again, these are like Bookmas wrap up videos, and they're super long. I know my videos that I made were super long, so I do not fault the creators for doing that. But yeah, so I'm going to read a little bit more, and I'll update you guys when I can. Bye. It's Larry here. It's about 3:38. I am going to take a little bit of a workout break. I have to work out with my dad, but I did wind up getting up to page 78 in Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I really am liking this book. It's a very, very rich world, and I like it. I've always loved Alex's writing style. I love that it's a very, very rich world, and I feel like as the story progresses, we're just going to get a lot more information. I remember I got up to part two in the first time I read this, so I'm really excited to kind of dive in and explore all these characters' relationships and just see how the world kind of fleshes itself out. So I will be back when I'm done working out. Actually, this was a weird week, as I said earlier in this vlog, so I want to kind of catch up on my workout so I can start next week sort of fresh. But I will check in with you guys when I'm done working out and let you know if I wound up listening to anything. But I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. It's about 5:31. I did wind up getting up to page about 100 in Lore. This is the part of book that was very info dumpy, I felt, the first time that I read it. I did enjoy it a little bit more. There is a lot of stuff happening in this book, and you are on the outside of a story because everyone in the story knows a lot more than you. So I am sure that as I get farther into this story, it will become a little bit easier. But it is like it's a little bit of a hard world to sometimes follow. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the Truth Witch world, which I read a while ago. I actually really need to reread that series because that's another story for another time because I'm a little bit far behind. But again, it's a world that even though I feel like I have read a lot of like mythology reads, especially with Rick Riordan, it's such a different world and there's just a lot of information in it. But I am really liking it. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I mentioned this in a couple of my videos. I'm doing the reading challenge that Coffee Books and Bullet Journals is hosting, which is like Avengers theme. This is actually for one of the prompts in that, a mythology themed book. But they are watching Captain America: The First Avenger, and I do want to watch it. Have seen it before, like a couple of years ago. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to watch it with them, and then I'm also going to read my book as well. So I'm going to go do a few things before that so that I'm ready to go do that. And I will update you guys probably like in the middle of the movie because then I'll probably give, but I definitely hope to have catch up to the pages that I read in early 2020 or late 2020. But I am definitely liking this a little bit better on reread or recapping, I would say, because I did read like about 150 pages of it. But it is a very complicated world. I will say that. So you really do have to pay very, very close attention. So I will update you guys when I can. Bye. Friends, Laurie here. I'm back. I did wind up watching the first Avenger with the Avengers gang. It was super fun. I haven't seen that movie in quite a bit. I also did wind up reading a little bit more of my book, so now I'm on page 100. I'm on chapter 16, the second part, which is right where I sort of left off. So I'm going to kind of go back to my video watching and see if I can read a bit more. My goal is to at least get up to the part that I like stopped reading at, just because I feel like a lot of this book is a lot of like world building and setup because it is a standalone and there's a lot of stuff you have to learn about. but I am really enjoying the world. There's a lot of questions I have, and I'm wondering if we're going to get them answered. There's also a lot of like smaller mysteries that are at the heart of this story that I'm also really enjoying. So I'm going to get back to reading, and I'll update you guys when I make a little bit more progress. Talk to you guys in a bit. Laura here, just checking back in. It is almost 9:30. I have continued to steadily watching my YouTube videos. I did delete a couple because I'm really just focusing on my book ones. But I do have, according to YouTube, I have about 82 left. So I'm getting there. Sorry, my voice is shot because I keep reading out loud and that tends to make my voice hoarse. But we are finally at the point of this book where I have like literally not read that much more. So I'm going into new material. I still really do like Laura's and Miles' relationship. I said this before, you don't see a lot of like platonic relationship in books. I also do like the side characters. I think it pulls from the past a lot. I just like the world. It's a very, very rich world, one that's just really, really engaging. And we have a lot of characters that aren't necessarily all on the same exact sides. We have a lot of shades in gray. This book also does deal with a lot of grief aspects, like on multiple levels. Like you have her being an orphan and dealing with that stuff because her parents were killed in this brutal attack in the last Aegon, and then you have her dealing with the grief and the loss of a father figure she had, like a grandfather figure that she had that is in the house that she lives in. So there's a lot of anxiety and depression and feelings in this book that I really am liking Alexandra Bracken tackling. I also love New York as a setting. I think it's great. So I'm going to read about 50 more pages. I think at that point, I'll probably read until I know I've reached the point where I haven't read anymore, and I'll probably give you guys another update. But I'm definitely liking my reread a lot better. I feel like I'm really taking the time to really like slowly read this book and not rush, which is another goal I'm having for 2021. Not rushing, reading what I want, and not stressing about it. So I'm going to go do another quick reading sprint, read about 50 more pages, and then I'll give you guys a quick update, and I'll let you guys know what my YouTube queue is at, what number is at. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Laura here, I'm back. I decided to put Laura down. I got up to the point of that book that I like have like basically not read, so I'm gonna pick that back up tomorrow. But I did recently pick up Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is the graphic novel inspired by his actual novelization of it, but I've heard incredible things about this, which is probably why I picked it up. I've been watching a lot of end of the year reviews, and this book has come up a lot. And I have really been trying this year to read books that are outside of my own experience. I've been trying to read more, I mean, especially this year just started, but like in 2020, during COVID and all that other stuff, I really like forced myself to kind of read outside my comfort zone, read experiences that are not mine. So I decided to pick this up. I'm unsure if I will finish it tonight. I heard that it's super incredible. I just heard it's an amazing read. And I've just wanted to read more like diverse reads, and I haven't picked one up this month. So yeah, I'm gonna read this. I'm still in the middle of watching some videos. I'm actually in the middle of watching a nonfiction one from Ashley from Bookish Realm, who is a creator I found in 2020 that I'm so happy I found her video. She's amazing. So I think I'm just going to pick this up and see if I enjoy it. I mean, if I really love it, I will probably pick up the audiobook because I know Jason Reynolds actually reads that. But yeah, I'm going to start this and I will give you guys my thoughts towards the end. Ooh, this has a very, very nice hardback. So yeah, I'm going to go start this. I picked this up like a week ago, so there is also one of my goals of reading my books I buy in a more quicker time frame. I have 3 that I'm focused on, but this is one of them. So I'm gonna go read to this, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Well, I should probably talk to you when I'm done with it, because it's not that long. I don't think it actually has pages, but it's about this boy whose brother was killed, and he has to make a decision if he is going to seek vengeance, I think. And it's at, I don't know, I feel like it's set in New York City, but it may not. But I'm going to read it. I'll read like about maybe like 30 pages of it, and I'll give you guys an update. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. This book, I've only read about like 30 pages, but boy, is it a hard read. Like, it's a very hard read, but it's real. Like, I'm loving the illustrations a lot. But it basically follows this boy named Will, and his brother is killed. And there are rules in his society where you don't cry, you don't snitch, and you get revenge if someone killed your relative. But just the art styles in this makes this book so much more, just like much more compelling. I think the art style is really what's captivating me. But I'm really captivated. Maybe it's because I'm reading it on a week where there was a lot of violence in America, a lot of violence, um, and coming off a year of all the protests and everything with George Floyd and everything that. But it's just hitting me like I'm really I don't really have words, but I'm really interested. I don't know where this book's gonna wind up. I know that people are really enjoying it. I'm definitely liking the illustrations. Um, it makes my heart hurt for him. Like that's just the easiest way to say it. It makes my heart hurt. I know stuff like this happens every single day. I know people are killed, and I know there's gun violence, and I know that there's societies like this, like there's towns like this all over the world, um, especially in the United States. But yeah, I'm gonna read a little bit more. I have read. I can't remember if I've read anything by Jason Reynolds. I feel like he did some of my short story collections, but I really am liking this. So I'm gonna go read a little bit more, and I will update you guys when I can. Bye. Here I'm back. It's 8:42. Last night I did find up finishing A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. This is probably going to be a 5-star read for me. It was super impactful. It dealt with some harder issues. It does have a very open ending, which I think is sort of the point. It just shows you like a cycle of violence and how a cycle of violence and a cycle of a culture really does, make your life go one way. But it basically follows this young boy named Will, I think. Is it Will? Yeah, I think it's Will. Yeah, my name is Will. And it happens the day after his brother was killed in gun violence. And in this town, and I'm sure it happens all over the United States, America, all over the world. There's 3 rules: you don't cry, you don't snitch, and you get revenge. So he thinks he knows who killed his brother, and he is going to kill that person. That's his goal. But before he gets there, he gets sucked. It's like a I don't know. It's just he's going down an elevator, and every single time the elevator stops on the floor, another person gets on. This is someone that has died from gun violence in his life. His dad, his uncle, a childhood friend, and it was super impactful. And I think the illustrations really did it for me. Like I'm sure if I listened to it, I would enjoy it just as much. But I just thought it was very, very impactful. It dealt with a lot of issues, but just the cycle of violence was just really impactful to me. Like it had a very, very open ending, and I'm sure that that was the point of the story. But I really liked it. I think this is going to be my first 5-star read of the year. I will definitely consider getting the actual, like the audiobook, because I know Jason Reynolds narrates it. But yeah, I really, really like this. I think I'm going to try to read at least one graphic novel a month when I'm not commuting, because I bought a couple in the recent months that I really, really like to buy. I also did do good on reading my book I bought. I bought this on Friday or Saturday, I think, last Saturday. So I'm doing good at reading them. That's just sort of my goal. Today, again, I'm going to give you guys a YouTube Q update. I know you guys really don't care, but I am trying my hardest to get this YouTube Cube down, because I have quite a few videos in this queue, and I really want to watch them all. I have about 79 left. I actually think that that's pretty realistic to make today if I just kind of do that. I'm also still reading Lore, which finally got to the part that I haven't read yet. I don't think I'm going to get to Crown of Bones today. I could probably start it, but even if I start, I think I'm probably going to choose a break book, something that's not fantasy, and read that first. That will probably be, I'm going to read during the week. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I just woke up, but I'm probably just going to organize myself. I'm probably going to do a little bit of my Skillshare class that I just started. I'm just trying to get into bullet journaling a little bit more, so I'm taking a few Skillshare classes about that topic. I'm going to go to yoga. I'm going to probably go get some lunch when I'm in town. Listen to my audiobook of The Viscount Who Loves Me, the Bridgerton book. Really liking that, by the way. And then I will update you when I get back. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. I'm back. It's about 12:27. I just got home, but I didn't really read a lot when I was at yoga. I also didn't listen to my audiobook because I was listening to a podcast. But now I am on page 200 in Lore by Alexandra Bracken. This book is definitely a really long, encompassing story. It also it kind of explores the past a little bit. I really am intrigued where the story is going to go. There are a lot of plot points. The cast of characters is definitely expanding a lot more, which I said this before in like a couple other videos. I like fantasy worlds that have a pretty decent cast of characters, and I do the Laura is the main character in this book, and I love Laura as the main character, but I would have liked to maybe see like a point of view of Miles or a point of view of someone else just to kind of expand the world, especially because this book is told in Laura's point of view and we are unfamiliar with this world. So I sometimes wish there was like a character that really explained the world to us a little bit better because it is a super complicated world. But I am really enjoying it. It's quite a fun read. I'm going to go upstairs, get a drink, and get a snack, and then I'm probably going to come back to reading. And I'll update you guys when I get to page about 250, which I've never read that far. This is about the point I got up to when the first time I read it. I got about 50% done with it, and then I stopped. So I'm actually just rereading. But I will give you guys an update when I get to 250, or if I have something that I need to say. But overall, I feel like if I had to rate this book right now, I would probably give it like 4.5 stars. I really am liking it. It might change towards the end, but I just think her world building, because we are coming into this story a little bit on our heels, like a little bit confused. I wish there was another character to kind of offset that, but other than that, I'm really liking the world and I'm really enjoying the character. So talk to you guys in a bit. This is more just like a fun update, but I'm reading Laura. It's set in New York City, and Laura is such a New Yorker. And she said something like, Miles wanted to take her somewhere, which becomes like imperative to the plot later in the book. And Miles was like you tourists don't go to tourist attractions, or New Yorkers don't go to tourist attractions, and it is like so freaking funny how true that is. I live on Long Island, but I live in New York, and I remember I worked at a summer camp with a couple of my friends, Alex and a couple of them who lived in England, and we came to New York and they came to stay with me for like a week, and we did like a bunch of touristy stuff. It was like the best week I've ever had because I got to go to Washington D.C. I got to go to all these places that we just never go as like New Yorkers or Americans, and I just thought it was amazing. So that statement like really hit me because I was like, yes, that is totally true. New Yorkers sometimes are very, very snobby in regards to like tourist attractions, and I just like I went to like the Empire State Building. I did all these fun tours, and I remember it was mostly because my friend was like, "Well, we've never done this stuff," and I was like, I've never done it either. And it was like a while ago. This is like a couple of years ago, but I just remember when she said that, I was like, yes, that is so accurate because it's just sometimes like when you live in your country or your state or your city, there's some things you just don't ever do because it's a tourist attraction, but they're super fun. So whenever the world opens up again, I hope to do that again and maybe even travel a little bit more. That's one of my goals for in the future years, like once we get back to normal. I had like 4 trips planned and they all got canceled, but that just put a smile on my face. I really am liking the friend group that's developing in this as well. It definitely, we're also getting more information about Laura's past, which is definitely heartbreaking on many, many levels. Her entire family was brutally killed about 7 years ago, and then other stuff happened. So she's really very, very isolated, but I love her and Miles' friendships quite a bit. So I'm going to go back to reading. I just had to give you guys that fun update, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit when I probably do get up to page like 250. Talk to you guys in a bit. It is 212. I did wind up getting up to page 228 in lore, but I think I'm going to take a little bit of a reading break because I do still need to do my workout. I did go to yoga today, but I still need to do like another workout. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, go do that, listen to one of my longer true crime videos that I'm trying to get a little bit better about reading. I'm doing my Mad Fit workout, which I neglected to do yesterday. So I think I'm going to do that. And then when I come back, I have to get up to like the third part of this book. So once I get to part 3, I'll probably give you guys like an official update. It is getting very battle focused, and I sometimes have mixed feelings about that because I sometimes get lost in the details. But the one thing that Alexandra Bracken does super well is she always brings it back to the characters. Alexandra Bracken is a very character-focused writer, and she's definitely building Laura to be a very important character in general, and I'm really, really liking that about it. So I'm going to go do my workout, and I will update you guys when I get up to that third part, because this book is broken down into parts. So when I do that, I will update you guys, but video YouTube queue update just for my own sanity. I am in the middle of video 72, so I have 72 videos left. I have been going through them, kind of deleting the non-bookish ones, but there are still ones I do want to watch. But I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Here I am back. It's like 3:42. I did wind up working out. I did wind up reading a little bit more of Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I'm now on page about 250, I'll say, because I have like, yeah, basically 250. This book keep on giving me such subtle mysteries. Like, there's a lot of like, like you get to the end of a section, it's broken into sections, so every single section is always like a big reveal. The cast of characters definitely getting larger. We're learning more about the gods in this book. And I really like the setup of the story. I think the setup is interesting and unique and kind of a very different take on mythology stories. I've read a lot of mythology stories thanks to the Rick Riordan Presents novels and all of his stories. I just like this concept. It's sort of a mix of like Hunger Games, like not Hunger Games, but like a competition element, but also mythology based. I just like Lore as a main character a lot. I think she's really interesting and compelling, and I feel like the second half of this book is going to dive a lot more into her past, and we're probably going to have a few more flashbacks to those scenes that made her the person that she is today. It's possible we'll get some more things that develop that I'm not necessarily anticipating, but I am really enjoying it. So I'm going to go back to reading. I'm just about to start part 3, and I'll give you guys an update when I read to page about 300. I do have to get dinner eventually, but I will let you guys know when I get to page 300 and let you guys know my thoughts. But this book, again, has some super good quotes that I am tabbing, and I will definitely put those in my journal at the end of the day, but my goal is to finish a majority of this book by today. So I'm going to go, also YouTube video update, just for my own sanity. I have 72 left. These videos are quite long just because they're like wrap-up videos for the end of the year, so they are quite long, but I am making my way through them, so I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye. This book got so intense. Like, I've got it to page 317 in this read, and so much happened in 50 pages. This book, like, took a very dramatic twist and turn. I will say there are some major, like, trigger warnings in this book. I will say that. And I just want to warn you. There is talk of sexual assault. There is a lot of grief and depression and depression in this book because Lore deals with a lot as a character. There is a lot in this book that does delve into. But what I also love Alex does is she really sort of picks apart the Greek mythology elements and the god relationships, because that's a big part in this book, obviously, because it's about Greek gods. And I've read quite a few of those, but I really like how she kind of like explains how dangerous their system is, because their system is, if you are part of one of these families, which there are quite a few families in my arc, there's like pictures, so you have like the house of Camnus, the house of Odysseus, the house of Theseus, the house of Achilles, the house of Perseus, the house of Melgor, and Jason. So the only way that these houses stay active is if they have a male to lead them. And you kind of saw what happened when that didn't happen. I'm just loving the relationship between Lore and Miles, but I also love how Miles is kind of becoming interacted with all the other characters. I think there might be a romance developing between two characters that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And normally at the heart of a novel like this, there is a main relationship for Lore, which I'm not really saying, I mean, I can see like how it could go one way, but I'm actually sort of okay with that. It's I think the back is right. It's a sweeping, high octane tale of power, destiny, love, and redemption. And I think that's like, honestly, I'm really intrigued. I do not want to stop reading, and it's 7:22. So I'm doubt I'm going to finish this book tonight, but I'm really liking it. It's definitely gone up to like probably a 5-star read for me right now. But I really am liking it. It's quite an intense read, I'll say that, especially the last like 50 pages. I love New York as a character. I think that also there is an attack of some sort in this book set in New York City, and if that is another issue, I'll do my trigger warnings at the end, because there's actually a couple, but just because we lived through a week this week that had somewhat of a terrorist attack, there is one in this that was perpetrated by gods, but it does appear as a terrorist attack, so no word about that. But I'm really enjoying this one, so I'm gonna go read probably like 30 more pages, because there was a lot of an update, but it's It's really, really good. I'm really, really liking it. I'm glad that I picked it up. So I'm gonna go get a little bit of a snack, and I'll check in with you guys maybe when I get up to like 368, maybe, because that's like the next section. But if I feel like there's something I have to say, I will pop in and say it again. Say it to you guys. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Book is wild. Like, it is such a wild read. Very unexpected. It's a read that I'm like not sure how it's gonna end. I'm in like the last section of it. I sort of don't want to stop reading. I'll be very, very honest. I really just want to keep reading, but I know eventually I will like just want to stay up all night and read. And I have to work tomorrow, and Mondays are always my days that I'm like my most tired and my most exhausted. So I'm going to be like a good person, and I'm going to stop reading for the night. I will definitely finish this during work tomorrow, I think, because I'll probably be a little bit more engaged to read. Um, but what I think I'm gonna do is I have been dying to finish Avatar. I was in the middle of listening to a podcast about it, but honestly, at this point, I feel like I just want to watch the TV show. And when I go back to commuting, which heaven knows when that will be, I will just listen to the podcast on one of those like series of commutes. So I don't even know. I just know I'm like an episode season 3 of it. So I'm going to do that. I might read. I really don't want to stop reading. I'll be very, very honest. But I know that it will like mess up my sleep schedule tonight if I keep reading. So I might read like 1 or 2 more chapters, and then I'm just gonna go watch Avatar and watch a couple of episodes because they're really, really short. I also, once I finish that, then I can move on to Korra, which was my goal for 2020, which I utterly failed at. So I'm going to go read a little bit more of lore. I will check in with you guys tomorrow morning before I go to work, hopefully. Yeah, that's my plan. I said this in like another reading vlog. I'm trying to prep all my lessons until the end of the year. So I do a lot of like scheduling during work, and that's still what I'm going to be doing. But I hope if I get some downtime that I could also read lore. It just really depends. But I will check in with you guys tomorrow. This will be a little bit longer than a week reading vlog. Oh no, a weekend, because I said I was going to stop it on Sunday, but I want to give you guys my final thoughts on this. So this reading vlog will probably go until Monday, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Laura here. I'm back to my teaching setup for the week, so this will probably be a bangle you see for the next couple of vlogs. Not my favorite, but that's okay. But last night, I did actually go ahead and I watched a couple of episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I got to the middle of the episode that is like the battle, if you know what I'm talking about, in season 3. So I really am liking that show. I'm hoping to not finish it, but like watch a few more episodes tonight. Because again, I've been putting it off because of the podcast I'm listening to. So yes, but my goal is at some point today is to make some progress about lore. I would like to finish this book before tonight, so that's my goal. Really, I'm liking this. Definitely think that this is going to be one of my first 5-star reads of the week. You actually have seen my other 5-star read this week, which was Long Day Down, Way Down by Jason Reynolds. So very, very solid. I think I'm probably going to leave this in my class whenever we're in a classroom again. Probably leave it for my students so they can read it. But yeah, so I am going to go do some R&D stuff, make sure that I'm ready to teach, and then watch the middle of the Bookish video I'm still in the middle of watching, which is Bookish Realm. I like her videos. Very, very interesting take on the Bookish community. And yeah, so I will see you guys when I tackle a little bit more or when I'm done with lore to give you guys my final thoughts. But it's either going to be the end of work today or early in the evening. Talk to you guys in a bit. Sorry for this like odd angle, or well, not the angle, but this. Sorry, I hurt my shoulder and I don't know how I did it. But I did read to page 400 in Lore by Alexandra Bracken. The romance was low key in this story. I will say that, but I loved it. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the Ron and Hermione moment in Harry Potter. Like that moment reminds me of this moment. Like it's not exact, but it just has a reminiscent quality of it. I am really intrigued to see how this story ends. Like, I have about 80 pages, and it's pretty big print. So I'm going to go tackle the very end of this read, and then I will kind of give you guys my overall thoughts. Right now I'm torn between 4.5 and 5 stars for this read because I really love the characters. I love the whole story. I think the world building could have been a little bit more specific and a little bit stronger, but I do know it's an arc, so it's entirely possible that like it got a little bit stronger. So I'm probably gonna reread this, like, because actually getting a copy from a book box. Actually, I'm gonna have 3 copies at some point, so I'll definitely consider rereading it or like buying the audiobook. But I really am liking it. I'm curious to see how the story ends. I'm curious to see how all the characters kind of wind up together. So I'm gonna go tackle the rest of this. And I'm also making my way through my YouTube videos, which I have made some progress on. So I will update you guys when I am done with Lore, and then we will have a check-in. Talk to you guys in a bit. Bye. Lori here. It is time to wrap up this reading vlog. Last night, I did wind up finishing Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I'm super torn about this book. I'm just going to give it a 5-star read because I overall loved it. I will preface this by saying this book is an arc, so it's entirely possible that stuff did change when it was put into a final copy, and I'm definitely probably going to reread it at some point. But I loved her take on Greek mythology. I love that it was a standalone, and I read so few standalones in my life. Like, I really am a series girl. However, I really like that she was able to condense it into one book. I love the characters. I love the world building. I loved who the villain turned out to be. I'll say that. Like, it was an interesting twist. I like the diversity in this. I thought the romance had the certain level. Like, I thought it was a nice level of romance in this book. So I'm going to give it 5 stars. Also, during this reading vlog, I did finish reading Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which I also gave 5 stars. So these are my first 2 5-star reads of the month. And overall, I was super impressed with it. And I really can't wait to see what she writes next. I really overall love her writing style, and I will definitely be getting an audiobook of this whenever I can in the near future. But thank you for watching this reading vlog, and I will see you guys for my next one. Bye!